Hello guys, TP here. So today I'm going to do what you guys requested. So a few weeks ago, I think, I put up a poll asking what type of top 10 should I do. And some of you chose the hit era and top and bottom songs. But this time I'm going to do top 10 classic series episodes, since that had the most votes. So today we're going to get started, because we got a list to cover here, okay? So let's get into it. Number 10, Gordon and Spencer. Gordon arrives to see a new engine on the island of Sodor called Spencer, who is the private engine of the Duke and Duchess of Boxford. Spencer gives them a special tour, but gets stuck on Gordon's hill, and Gordon comes to help him. To be honest, this is a really great season 7 episode. And it's one of the more sweeter ones too, because Gordon is in his big brother's side from seasons 1 and 4, and the story feels very down the line-esque, as I mentioned in the season 7 references video. And I don't have much to say on this episode other than Spencer is a really interesting character and one of my favorite newbies of the Gallant era. Of course, I wouldn't consider it the Gallant era, but just season 6 and 7. Number 9, Thomas and the jet engine. Thomas is sent to pick up a special jet engine to take to Dry Airfield, but gets in a runaway when Cranky accidentally turns it on, I should say. In my opinion, this is a way better episode than Gordon and Spencer. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just a very wacky episode. And I know it's unrealistic, but still, it's a really fast-paced episode. And not that hilarious, but it's a really great episode to watch. Just in my opinion. I've got nothing else to say here, really. So, let's just move on. Number 8, Dirty Objects. James is sent to collect some troublesome trucks to take all the way up the line. But after going on the other side of Gordon's Hill, he becomes a runaway and smashes into a train of tar wagons on the line. And Toby and Percy come to help him. In my opinion, this is one of the best episodes of season 1, in my opinion, honestly, because, well, it's such a very, very well created episode, if you ask me. And it's pretty much the famous episode for James being in tar. Fun fact, this episode is actually referenced in the season 2 episode Brake Van. I'm sure everybody knows that, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. But yeah, I've got nothing much to say about the episode other than it's a really fun ride and probably one of the greats of season 1, along with Off the Rails and Flying Kipper. Number 7, Edward's Exploit. Edward's Exploit is probably my second favorite episode of season 2, mainly because of what they do with Edward's character. They very much expand it. In fact, Unlucky Tug made a video on this called Edward's Saga, and I might have to give that a rewatch. And people have done remakes of it, and I might do one too after I rewatch. But overall, let's go over to the plot. Edward is assigned to take a passenger train across the Brendan Branch, but on his way back, he ex- he experiences a crack, and then the driver and fireman take his side rods off, and he makes it in the end, I think. And overall, this is a really fantastic episode. Not just for Edward's theme at the end, but also for being such a very phenomenal episode. Because, well, just look at the sky. It just looks like it's so cloudy, in my opinion, honestly. And overall, all I like that Boko and Duck made an appearance because, well, I like I like that. Number 6, Tender Engines. I know people some say I know some people say it's an alright episode, but to me it's a really fantastic episode for what they do with Gordon and Henry's character. They're both jealous because, well, I guess they want two tenders, I guess? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know exactly what their wants is, but in the episode, but I just really like this. I really like this episode because I don't know why. It's just one of the greats of season 3 in my opinion. Because, well, I don't know why. It was just always so good to me. Mainly because of the title. And I like that Henry pays the price at the end. That was priceless. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's talk about an episode that is fantastic and I do know the reason why. Number 5, Donald's Duck. In this episode, hold on. In this episode, Duck Duck explores his branch line for the first time after he technically earns it. So, yeah. And Donald, on the other hand, experiences a duck in his water tank and befriends it. In my opinion, while the plot may be slightly clustered, I do like the overall story that they were going for. The concept of a character with an animal is such a really sweet idea. And it was executed fantastically. A Scottish engine with a duckling, or a duck, something, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's technically a duckling. And apparently the two became best friends, technically, and I wish we could have seen this dynamic later on. And I like that this little dynamic was featured in a song, but not in an episode. In fact, fun fact, the song is featured in the same name, surprisingly. Yeah, I know everyone knows that, but it's still worth addressing. But overall, the episode is great, is really fantastic. Duck's branch line looks really amazing. The seaside sets look absolutely phenomenal. And holy motherfucking god, I just love I just can't get enough of that. I just can't get enough of Dilly's Pond. I just love it. It's such a beautiful set. Like, really. There's one without the pier, and there's one with the pier, which looks a lot better in my opinion, which adds a level of realism to the set. Or maybe it just could have been more closer, but still, thought it was worth addressing. Number 4, Thomas, Percy, and the Post Train. Thomas and Percy are assigned to take the post train at night, and when they do, they come across a man in need of help. Because, well, earlier the mail was running late, I think. But yeah, the nighttime shots are fucking phenomenal. Seriously, just look at this. I fucking love this. Like, holy shit. This is the best nighttime episode I have ever fucking seen. Seriously, can't get enough of this one. And to be honest, this probably has to be my favorite episode of season 3 by far. I mean, like the shots look absolutely realistic. And literally, this episode just is it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And to be honest, I kind of think season 3 is kind of the best season in terms of stories, but it's not the best season overall, I don't think, because it still has its duds technically, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Post Train. Um, I like how Harold is handled in this episode, but yeah, that's really it. The episode overall is just fucking phenomenal, and I recommend everyone to check it out. Number 3, Gallant Old Engine. In this episode, Rheneas is taking a full train down to the station, but uh, but sadly his valve gear jams, but he finally manages to triumph his way into the station. Even though it's a story that Scarloy tells Duncan and Peter Sim so that Duncan could learn the importance of passengers, despite what happened in the previous episode. In my opinion, this is honestly the best episode of season 4. Some say it's one of the weaker of the narrow gauge bunch, and I really don't get why. I really don't get why. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna try and convince you and watch it again, because you'll find out it's one of the best season 4 aesthetic experiences you will ever see, I think. I guess. I don't know. But like many people say, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and yeah, I can actually respect that. But still, I think this episode is the best of season 4, and I'm very happy to place this in my top 5. And it thankfully is. Number 2, Ghost Train. Holy motherfucking shit. I love this episode. It is such a scary it is so scary. Like, the music is scary, the atmosphere is scary, and everything about it is just so fucking scary. Like, wow. Like, the model crew did a really fantastic job with their first ever spooky episode of the show. Like 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 holy fuck. It's nail biting. And I love it to fucking death. But still, it's not as good. It's still very close to being the best episode of the classic era. But before I get to my number 1, I just want to give out a few dishonorable mentions. Toad Stands By. In my opinion, this episode is really fantastic, but it slightly got beaten out by Gordon and Spencer. Just because of one thing. Scruffy's redesign. I mean, yeah, I can understand I don't think they had the colors to fix him properly, but yeah, his brown color looks a bit bland. But still, the episode is great, and I'm good to place it in my top 20. The Flying Kipper. In my honest opinion, this is a really fantastic episode, but it got beaten, but sadly it got beaten out by Dirty Objects. Because, well, it's not very intense that much, but it was so realistic, and it's pretty much at the number 11 spot, I'd say, I think. The Runaway Elephant. This Duncan narrow gauge episode is definitely a great one, but not the greatest. Not the greatest of season 7, but it got beaten out by the Refreshment Ladies Tea Shop. Speaking of which, the Refreshment Ladies Tea Shop. This episode definitely beats out the Runaway Elephant. But it got beaten out by Gordon and Spencer as well. And surprisingly, and I actually meant to say Toad Stands By actually is beat out by Gallant Old Engine, technically. And the number 1 best episode of the fucking classic era is to no one to almost probably everyone's shock, Percy and Harold from season 2. In this episode, Percy challenges Harold to a race to the old harbor. And that's that's what pretty much happens. And I think it's one of the episodes where it has no moral, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong, Thomas is always famous for its morals, duh. But there but the but every episode doesn't have to have a moral. Like, the majority of the episodes could have a moral, but not all of them have to have a moral. But sometimes they could just be fun, or they could just be funny stories, or just nice stories, whatever. There doesn't need to be a moral in every single episode. At least, at least I think. I don't know if there's a moral, but if there is, yeah, just let me know and just let me know and make sure I just let me know, please. But in my sole honest opinion, this is the best episode of the motherfucking Thomas the Tank Engine Classic series. Just because of two things. One, the shots. Two, the music. The music, and don't get me wrong, the music is better. Because, well, I'm so addicted to Harold's theme for some reason. Like, I just love it so much. I love how suspenseful it is. I love how it I love how intense it is. And I love how realistic it feels. It actually feels like you're up in the air somewhere, looking on all over the Sodor sights, and flying through the cliffs or above them. It's so fucking phenomenal. And don't get me wrong, the classic series is phenomenal in general. But season 6 and 7 will be nothing compared to seasons 1 through 5. Because seasons 1 to 5, in my opinion, are the sole gems of Thomas and Friends. Genuinely. And of course, do think season 6 and 7 are classic seasons too. But I sometimes like to call them their own era, but I just like to call them just for shits and giggles, cuz why not? But yeah, honestly, these are just my overall opinions on the top 10 classic era episodes. Sorry about that, but anyways, um yeah, if you heard that notification, yeah, blame my mother for ruining it. But anyways, um yeah, this is uh thank you for watching. And if you have a top 10 favorite classic series episodes, let me know in the comments. I'd like to see your list. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. This is TP officially signing off.